afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello. I believe that Bitcoin can save your business, if not today, at some point. I was in my backyard as a child, playing down in my backyard in the dirt. My hands were covered in soil, and I found these rocks, and I thought they were just so cool. And I thought if they were kind of shining in the light. I didn't realize at the time they were just like landscape rocks that I bought at Home Depot. But I wanted to share them with the world, and so I went through my neighborhood, and I would knock on doors, and I came home, and that's me as a child, and I came home with $30. And my mom, this is $30 in 1996, so talked about inflation. This is a lot of money back then. And my mom's like, what in the world, where'd you get this money? And so I just tell her, went out, sold some rocks. And I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. He started a bunch of companies. When I was a baby, they had a pizza restaurant, and he would shuffle between playing drums for live music and go in the back and wash dishes. They had pizza-themed baked potatoes. And he taught me that you can just start things. And so I got a little older, and I started playing the drums. My dad was a drummer, and I started this band. And I had to make a choice. Do I play the drums, or do I go to college? And while I was studying business, I chose college. And my friends, who went on to be the rock band, speaking of rocks, became platinum selling, Grammy award winning. But I had a college degree, so I'm good.
Is that Paramore?
Yeah. I graduated in 2008. Does anybody remember what happened in 2008? So nobody hired me for good reason, because I had no skills. And so I went for a walk. This is my buddy Tully, hiked the Appalachian Trail. And I learned that if you have no skills, but you walk 2,000 miles, people still won't hire you. And so I thought about my dad and me as a kid. And I remembered, you should start stuff. You should start things. So 2010, I founded this payment processing company, Polaris Payments. And the same year, Bitcoin made history, very first transaction. This is worth $1 billion, these two pizzas right here, today.
Yeah.
And I made this website, that's my original website. And I helped some businesses, I helped a lot of businesses. I would install these credit card terminals with merchants. And that one would take like an hour or two to download, it'd take forever. And I made some money. I made less money in year one than my first day. I was a small boy. I made $26, but I stuck with it. And we ended up being a lot more successful than my first business. And I've done a bunch of stuff. I'm proud of this one, cashless donations to the homeless. We've helped thousands of people experiencing homelessness with an accountability component. But I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about my neighbor. My neighbor, Steve. Steve calls me one day, and he is so stressed out. He doesn't know what to do. He runs this coffee shop. This coffee shop is a neighborhood staple in Seattle. Every morning, folks they put their kids in the strollers, and they walk over, and they get coffee. There's always a line out the door. They've got these cups with goldfish in them that, for $1, you can get goldfish for your kids. And he's got to meet payroll. All of his inventory is in his point of sale system. His employees clock in and clock out. And his payment processor has just dramatically increased his rates. And he doesn't know what to do. I'm here to talk about my client, Vicky. She runs a truck repair shop, and she calls me one day. And I could feel the tears almost through the phone. She had run this $4,500 transaction. And they had repaired the truck. She had paid her employees. They had put in all the labor. She had paid the vendors. All the parts were in the truck. Truck was repaired. He drives off. And he paid with credit card. And he called his bank and said, I never got my truck repaired. I want my money back. She filled out all the paperwork and everything, and Visa sided with the cardholder. She got rug pulled. She'll never see that money again. And I've met with merchants. My team has met with merchants throughout the country for the last 15 years, helping all kinds of merchants. And we find that these small business owners tend to be really earnest people who are just trying to provide a job, just trying to, put food on their table, provide a legitimate service. And it's the vast majority of all businesses that are small businesses. The majority of every dollar that's spent at a local business stays within that local community. They employ nearly half of all workers. They're really the backbone of our economy. Small business owners are. They're my neighbor Steve running his coffee shop and so many other businesses are really important to our local cultures. But many of them are getting left behind. So here's what I learned about payments while running a payments company. Payments are a hard thing. They are a source of contention for a lot of small businesses. If you run a retail business or an online business, you probably need to accept money somehow. And how do you do that today? Probably through the fiat duopoly, through Visa and MasterCard. And I believe that Steve and Vicky and merchants all across deserve better. To accept money today, you're faced, like Vicky, with chargebacks, like Steve with excessive fees, approval issues. If you have 3% margins, you have 0% margins. And I believe they matter more than ever. And the problem is that they're really getting squeezed on a lot of fronts. So 80% of all revenue is now going to the top 1% of companies. AI obviously is coming through, reshaping everything. The fees keep going up. I've got a client, he pays $40,000 a month just in credit card fees, just to Visa and MasterCard. One location merchant. But it gets worse. The survey came out this year that the number one concern for small businesses today is inflation. And the problem is that the costs, they just keep rising. And the money itself just keeps eroding. And for 15 years, I thought, I would shrug my shoulders and I thought, that's just the way it is. But when I started my business in 2010, my goal was really to help these small businesses keep more of every dollar that they earned. I wanted to save them money because I believed that if the small business can flourish, the community around it will flourish, the country, the world will flourish. But when money loses value and businesses are struggling every day to keep up, it's not flourishing. So I went for another walk, not a literal walk this time, and I just went down this whole journey. Like, why is the system so broken, and what do we do? How do we fix it? Can somebody read this out for me?
What is needed is an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust.
Do you know who's said that? This quote is from, Wesley?
Craig, right?
It's from Satoshi.
That's what I said.
Proof instead of trust. We got like 6 to 8 layers of intermediaries right now to accept money for most businesses. So I'd like to share these 3 things that I learned while going down this metaphorical walk. The first one is the importance of hard money. Obviously, we talked about this, but Bitcoin is money that cannot be printed. And I learned there are consequences. The purchasing power is the red line over time. You turn on the money printer. Is there a correlation there? Do you see a correlation? And Bitcoin is money over time that stores value. And I believe that it's a reliable, robust solution for small businesses. And it's not about making money, but making money better. And when the problem is, like, I'm putting all this time and energy into helping small businesses, but the foundational layer of money itself is broken, and I'm seeing all of these small businesses suffering. When money is broken, things are not what they seem. This is my house. I had 2 of my 3 children in this room. We have this like tree out front with 3 apples grafted in. I've got 3 kids, and I bought it for $186,000. It's worth over $700K today, and you're like, bust out the champagne. $500,000. Except that the dollar is devalued so much that 700K is not what it once was. Obviously, we talked about this chart. Purchasing power goes down over time. Has anyone traveled internationally before? And did you, what countries did you guys go to?
Portugal.
Germany, Austria.
Okay, so Portugal, did you use the euro? And goods and services were priced in that currency, right? So Bitcoin is money, and you can price goods and services in it as well. So this is my house, and if you denominate it in Bitcoin, I bought it for 37,000 Bitcoin, and it's worth 7 today. So if you look at it in fiat, you're like, wow, made $500,000, good to go. Can anyone guess how much of a loss it's taken when you denominate it in Bitcoin? 99.99%. And the fiat system, it creates this financialization of everything. And the house is no longer, a house. It's an investment. And this is not just my house. It's median home prices are falling dramatically when you price them in Bitcoin. Has anyone heard the phrase cash is king?
Yeah.
Cash is dead. I see it on my computer every time I open up my screen. The volume is going up. Payments are going up. Credit card volume is going up every year. And the percentage of cash transactions are going down every year. Payments have not evolved. When I started, we called them knuckle busters. They carbon copy paper, and you'd slide it left and right, and then I would spend hours in merchant locations with these phone dial-up terminals because it would require so much programming, and then if you have just even one digit off, after an hour of downloading, you have to start all over. Now, it takes me like 5 minutes. Modern smart terminals. It's great on the surface, but underneath, it's all the same tech with the same flaws. Chargebacks, we talked about. Fees. Delays in funding. Do you know how many merchants have called me or my team and said, hey, where's my money? I had 20K yesterday. Where's my money? It's a banking holiday. Banks are closed. Well, I got employees to pay. Shrug our shoulders again. Sorry, the banks are closed. Geographic restrictions. We've drawn these arbitrary lines all around the world and said this is where we can and cannot use money. Centralized approval. There's no privacy. Your credit card data is sold every day. Currency is being debased. And ultimately, small businesses suffer. The revolution about Bitcoin, though, is it's like everything we've talked about is like the opposite. The money is no longer geographically restricted. It's internet-based, works anywhere in the world. Through the Bitcoin Lightning Network, payments are settled instantly. The fees are lower. The list goes on and on. But Bitcoin is an exit ramp from the current fiat financial system. And I believe it can solve your problems if you're a business. A lot of this we've talked about, but there's passionate Bitcoiners who are excited to spend their Bitcoin in a business. The transactions are literally faster than Visa. You've got all these bank failures and banking fragility. So, where do we go from here? Well, we're early. We got a $2 trillion asset. We got nation states buying Bitcoin and publicly traded companies, but on the medium of exchange front, we're still pretty early. But the tools are better than you think. There are great invoicing solutions like ZapRight that allow you to send an invoice and then the customer can pay however they want. There's no longer friction of asking them, how do you want to pay? Do you want to pay in Bitcoin? Do you want to pay in credit card? You just let the consumer decide. In the moment, they can decide day or night. We've heard from Stephen at Castle, really cool ways to effectively make Bitcoin whether the customer wants to pay that way or not. So his tool allows you to, and some of my clients are using Castle. They can still accept their fiat through credit cards, but then automatically a portion of that gets transferred into Bitcoin and they can build their treasury. A lot of you may have heard recently Square turned on the ability to accept Bitcoin. So now 4 million merchants are able to accept the best form of money. Steak and Shake, I guess my numbers were a little, Riley was saying it's higher, but double-digit growth when they turned on accepting Bitcoin. There's folks like Sovereign who will sit down with small business, walk them through custody and walk them through payments. There's my company, Bitcoin Payments Advisor, will help you take the guesswork out of Bitcoin for your business. So long term, Bitcoin is amazing. Today, Bitcoin is still amazing, but I think businesses should take a holistic approach. Only Bitcoin is probably not that helpful for most businesses. And so if you can take the entire revenue cycle, credit cards, ACH, a lot of businesses are still taking paper checks. I know a lot of businesses that take a lot of paper checks, but include Bitcoin in the payment stack. As part of your payment stack, Apple Pay, we've got Tap to Pay, include Bitcoin Pay. Bitcoin can save your business, but only if you let it. Thank you. Should we do Q&A?
Yeah, you went quick.
Jordan.
How do you build in Bitcoin payments right now, POS, if someone's not on Square? Are you all working towards like a custom solution there?
So retail versus online is a big difference right now. We are doing some custom solutions for retail. Square is great if you have just a few locations, like one or a few locations. We're onboarding 10,000 merchants in Canada right now with a Bitcoin Lightning solution on credit card terminals. But retail's tough. I think Square is a great solution for like card present, because some of my clients have Toast or Clover or whatever, and they like those platforms and they want to stay with those platforms, and so there's workarounds. A lot of it depends on the size of the business. So for a solopreneur, it's pretty easy to pull out your phone. The bigger you get, the more staff training you have to do, and some people want to do that and some people don't. But you could do like a ZapRite QR code, functions like a point of sale system, and you just type in the dollar amount, scan the QR code, boom, Bitcoin has been paid. But you just have to notate that in the other point of sale system as like a cash transaction or something like that. Yeah?
If you have people that are already set up on like auto payments, would this just like be a rip and replace type thing? They'd have to cancel it, they'd have to re-sign up?
Yeah, so auto payments, Steve and I were talking about this earlier. Auto payments are tough. I think you're better off go with Castle for something like that if you've got a lot of recurring transactions, honestly, because Bitcoin is we're early. It's evolving very quickly, but recurring like stored transactions, we're not quite there yet. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, let's say I got to bill Joe,
Yeah.
Whatever, every month for service.
Yeah.
Would this be just like, I got to send him an invoice each month?
Yeah, I mean, is it the same amount or a different amount every time?
Same.
Yeah, if it's the same amount every time, yes, you would have to send them the same invoice every month if you wanted to accept Bitcoin with that customer. Or you could, your options are basically the customer could send Bitcoin every month, or you can put them on a credit card and convert that money to Bitcoin, or use something like Castle.
I think Albi also has a solution, Albi Hub, because I know for me at least, to pay Albi for them being the Lightning node provider, they just pull like $10 worth of Bitcoin out of the Lightning wallet every month, which I guess is kind of a built-in auto pay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
When you first started out, did you have to do a lot of advocating and convincing for people to kind of hop on board, or was there like a warm market? And also, has that changed from then to now?
For Bitcoin payments, I mean, we're really early. There's a lot of folks that just don't know or care. I talked to a merchant a few weeks ago, and she goes, "Honey, you're lucky that we even accept credit cards." So, adoption takes time. I think that, Bitcoin goes through these cycles, and so when everybody's talking about it and it's getting more media coverage, then sometimes you'll get more interest then. But everybody buys Bitcoin at the price they deserve. So.